I'll talk for just a couple of minutes about some overall strategy of Facebook and business. If you go back to Dale's posting strategy blueprint, this is a really excellent piece. And here's what I want to encourage you on. As you go through it and you look at trivia and statistics and you look at funny and you look at some of the other pieces there, I would say, again, look at those broad swath things that people like to see on Facebook. What do people, as a whole, a majority of people like to see? They obviously like to see pictures, but pictures of what? So within you've got your blue ocean, you've got your audience, you know who they are. It's not enough to say it's an 18 to 35-year-old male. What kind? What does he like? What does he not like? So the more you get that defined, the better you'll be at being able to connect with him on Facebook or any other platform. What I would say is the natural tendency for every business owner is to really lean into their expertise, right? So we're going to talk about it, and everybody eventually just turns a blind eye and or mutes you on social channels, because something you're passionate about is not necessarily what they're passionate about. You need to understand, and we'll get into EdgeRank in a moment to define this a little bit better for you and help you understand the why. But if you're not putting out the humor and or, I would say, nostalgia is probably one of the biggest things that's underutilized on Facebook. People really get into what was your first car, what was your first, what did you wear to your first dance, anything that kind of walks you down memory lane, because it doesn't matter how old you are. In most cases, most of those things are something adults have experienced, and I'm assuming none of you are targeting children. It would be adults for the most part. So there's commonality there, that we all see, feel, and experience those things. And in reality, what you'll find is, I don't have any statistics, but it definitely would go to success in business, and it's in the low single-digit percentile of people who utilize these strategies. But because they do, they're the ones that are being successful on Facebook. Facebook rewards engagement, getting the conversation going, getting your community speaking to, talking about, talking with, and sharing your content. So if Facebook is a platform that your audience is on, then you need to use it correctly, and you can be in a very small percentile of successful people if you'll do these other steps outside of your expertise. It's easy to fall back into the expertise piece. I know what I'm doing, put another piece like that out. Okay.
So is it to start discussions that would be in these kind of LinkedIn?
Sure.
And how does Google look at LinkedIn related to EdgeRank?
EdgeRank is a Facebook-only piece, so you would only be concerned on Facebook. On LinkedIn, cut to the chase. Talk about business and what you do. Now, you do want to ask questions, use the question area. You do want to do some, again, no matter what platform, if it's social, it's about community and engagement. So you still need to foster engagement. But Facebook is very unique in that if you want to get seen, you have to engage with content that's outside of your comfort zone a little bit. Does that make sense? EdgeRank, and again, I'll step off into that when we get into the list, rewards content that gets a lot of activity. So everything always has a picture. Every post always has a picture. and try to make it as big a picture. I'll even go back and delete a post. If I shared it on some other kind of platform and it came over and I don't like it, I'll kill it and go post it again, because if you can get that nice big full picture that people see when they scroll down their newsfeed, more interactivity. Yes.
You gave a couple of places where you can get free stuff.
There are multiple, I'm blanking, but within Google Images obviously is a first resource, and then there are multiple other free photo resources that you can utilize. And obviously, you know, for instance, if I'm a photographer and I'm putting my, you know, watermarked images out there, I hope everybody shares them, because it draws it back to me. You know, it's Mike Jones photo, whatever that may be. So when I'm putting my content out there, I'm hoping that you will share it around and that people will engage with that conversation. And again, eventually giving credit back to the source. But anyway, any questions on that as far as types of content? Now again, this is part of you've identified your blue ocean, and you know who your audience is, and now you're providing content not that you like, that they like is the important piece, and they will engage with.
I just wanted to add that because what I just talked about is a new product, a new venture, I realized as I was trying to write the tweets that I didn't know the customer well enough, and I had to do a whole lot of research.
Cool.
On what business executives, CEOs, what do they sell
Absolutely.
in this area. So
Yep.
I've already done that with the smart group, but if you get a new customer identified, you're probably going to need to do a lot of research first.
Absolutely. Yes.
And how helpful is analytics on Facebook to kind of see what's good and what's not so good?
I noticed that I left that off the list, so I hand wrote it in. So Insights is what it's called on Facebook. We'll take a look at my insights. That's why I switched over, so that we can actually look at some good posts and some not good posts and talk about why. And why it is very important, and it really helps you gauge back to, it'll literally tell you, are you gaining traction within the area you said is your target market? If you said it's an age bracket and it's female, it will tell you if you're gaining followers and likes and interactivity within that demographic. So it can be very valuable, yes.
My quandary is always a couple of things. First of all, the mix of posts, you know, how much humor or general versus trying to provide information and
Yeah.
feel that would help people. And the other big thing is, when do I post on my personal page versus this page?
Okay.
I've got more friends than likes.
Okay.
More access.
All right, I'm going to actually go into a few posts and show you real-time examples of that. So on the drive over, I was really thinking about that, Steve, as far as what's the ratio, and I really think it's in a 4-to-1 or a 6-to-1 ratio. And that means for every one time you say, you know, buy my stuff, I'm an expert at, come see us at, that I'm going to do 3 to 5 other types of posts that, and again, this is Facebook, let's be very clear, this is Facebook strategy, not Twitter and or LinkedIn. It's different on each platform. So that I'm boosting my edge rank so that when I do post something about my business, I'm getting more impressions.
Not just about my business, it's like a new product review or something you're saying, no advice.
So that would be valuable information.
Yeah, I don't really do the selling.
Okay.
Still 4-to-1.
In that ballpark. Unless, now there are categories of business where people just love what you do. I mean, they're just really into your product, and so you can stretch that a little bit. But I would say in computer and IT, average mom, dad, etc., not that into it. Dads more than moms, but so you have to balance that with what your product is. I switched over, I'm sorry. Of cover image and logo, but The why is also very important. Multiple studies, eye tracking studies have proven that you'll double the amount of time people will spend on your page if there are people in the cover image. So logo content isn't necessarily the best content. Now, you may put people and then go ahead and put some text over that, but the rules say you can't do URLs, phone numbers, etc., but you can say who you are and what you do. If your name happens to be socialnetworkassist.com, however, you can't help it that that's your name, so how can you avoid that? Anyhow, and then my logo, and that's always a push. Within your business model, what is your model? If you are a real estate agent, for instance, Sherry should have her face as the logo part of her page, because people are doing business with Sherry, not with a company. So you have to decide where that line is at for you and make sure you have the appropriate logo, but your cover image should always, if possible, have people in it. Because people like to look and stop. Do I know them? Do I know any of those folks? Spend a few seconds to see who's in there. Okay, so let's go on down. Navigation. I didn't cover this greatly. How to like a page. Yes.
If there was anybody that wasn't here 3 weeks ago or whatever, how to set up a Facebook business page, we've already done that. So if you need to cover that again, let me know. Yeah, sorry. So that's why we're going right to this next step.
Yep, and creating an event actually is duplication from Facebook 1, so I'm not going to spend a great deal of time there, but I will talk about strategy. So for instance, we talked several times about creating an event about something that you're doing for business. I think it's very important to create those events on your business page so that if any of us or somebody else is going, oh, I heard about her event, where am I going to go? I'm going to default probably to your business page, unless you've built a huge audience on your profile and they would look for it there first. Does that make sense? So you can. What I would suggest to do is create the event where people would most likely look for it and then share it over to your profile, or vice versa. If I know a few real estate agents, for instance, who have built their audience on their profile, and they have all of the engagement going, and their business page is pretty much non-existent. It's on profile for them. But for a real estate agent, that works. For most businesses, it doesn't.
Is that, do you get entry, do you get edge for posting on your personal page, or does it only happen on your business page?
It does happen on personal, but it only happens exclusively. There's no bleed over. Business is a complete separate entity from profile. Your profile is just a way to access your business page. Some cases, yes. I'm going to get to that. Okay. So, let's talk about building audience. On building audience, I was happy to see with the remodel and shift to timeline, they switched over to the single button that's at the top of your admin panel. So build audience. You can invite your email contacts. So if you have a great constant contact list, you can go ahead and go through the process, do the pop-up box. You can do one of these, but under other tools is where you upload a CSV, comma separated value. It's like an Excel file off of just about any email service you can think of, has an ability to export that. The limit size is 5,000, so if you have more than 5,000, you have to break it into different documents, but then you can upload them separately.
And they'll send it out to everybody on that.
Yeah, so when you walk through the process, it'll pop up a list of everybody it found, and it'll let you go through and deselect if you wanted to. I don't like him anymore, whatever that may be. She, anyway. So you may want to go through and remove a few people, and it gives you that ability. And then it gives you a preview. Here's what we're going to send. This is what's going to go to people who aren't on Facebook. This piece is what's going to go to people who are on Facebook. And it goes out in an email from your Facebook email. So it says, Mike at whatever is sending you an email, not Facebook. So it presents itself different than a typical Facebook notification. And therefore, in most cases, people will notice it. And they'll hopefully open it and potentially like your page. It's very difficult to get traffic to like your page unless you're a rock star of some sorts. And I know many of you are, but it may take some effort. It may take some effort for the rest of us to get people to like our page. So we're going to do all of these strategies, but a caution here. You're going to do them slowly and not all at once so that you don't bombard people, because that's really annoying. Anybody else? I get an email and 18 friend like my page, and then I get some kind of event telling me to come like their page. That's a little bit too much at once. Spread it out slowly, not all at once. Yes, Susan, you had something first.
I did this recently, trying to increase the likes for Facebook. And June was very careful and none of them, I didn't see any likes from them. And so what do they get? They get an email that says, Susan, you were asking
To come like her page, yeah.
Suggest that you like your page, is that what?
Yeah, yeah.
I can say,
No, you can't. But so here's another piece to that. Again, if you've already got them in a MailChimp or a Constant Contact, build your own invite and make it a little more engaging than what they're default giving you.
Is that okay to send them just a regular?
Well, sure, absolutely. Say, hey, join. I'd love to continue this conversation over on our Facebook page. Do me a favor and like our page. Then you've got the like button right in the email, and you can, or at least a link to your page. I think you'll have better results if you do this outside of Facebook. It's here, it's usable, but the results, percentage of results is pretty low. It's going to be low anyway, but I think you guys are creative folks who, in some cases, can come up with a better looking email that's more enticing. Yes?
If I have gone into invite friends
Mhm.
there, and let's say, invite 5 people, like yesterday, I think I invited 5 people.
Uh-huh.
And will it gray them out like that if I've already invited
Yes.
them?
Yes.
So that I don't
So you
have
don't
to start
duplicate.
making lists.
Right. So you don't duplicate.
Yeah.
And so the other thing is, when you go to invite friends, if you look right here, it defaults to recent interactions. Drop that down and go to either all friends, or if you want to do a market, go to that market to identify who you're trying to get to like your page. So all friends, again, it shows you everybody that's in the gray has been invited, everybody that's not in the gray has been invited, and I'm not going to go seek any of you out and embarrassing you for not liking my page. Although I am going to cry a little bit. No, I'm not. So within that, just realize it's probably, I think, the hardest part of Facebook now is getting people to like a business page, because so many businesses abuse a social network. So again, this goes back to content. Because they're just so abrasive and buy my stuff, people kind of attach that to all business pages. So you've got to be the difference. You've got to be the ones that are a different page that make people want to see your content. Yes, Pam.
Would you scroll through where you post, because you had a thing that said event. Offer an event. I don't have that on mine.
You mean here?
Down below that. Status photo offer event. Yeah, status photo offer event. Is that something because you've got?
Yeah, I'm a developer, so I do get some stuff a little bit earlier. But this is a piece, gosh, I've had that probably 6 months that they've had offers available.
Yeah.
So,
I don't have that on mine. That's why
okay.
I was asking to go back. I don't have
Yep.
status on
Yeah, so again, this is literally an offer for a deal for products, and it is available. I'll have to do a little more research on why, Pam. Yeah, because I think you've got about as many likes as I do, or it may be a number that you have to hit, but I don't know that for sure. Okay. Building audience we covered. There is one other piece on build audience. That is share the page, and so on this is going to push to your timeline or your news feed personally, or you have the ability to go to a friend's timeline, a group, another page that you administrate, or you can send it in a private message. So I could send Maureen and say, please like my page. No, it's okay. I'm just teasing. I'm teasing. So you can invite that. So that gives you multiple. Even with that piece, it gives you multiple ways that you could go post over on somebody else's business page, and say, hey, Tucson, come and like my page. Well, they're defaulted separate unless you choose to interact with the two together. So you're using your friends list to populate and get people to like, but other than that, that's the only piece that connects you to your business page. But you have to decide on the strategy as to whether you're going to utilize your profile to help market your business. Now, I'm going to walk through some pieces on that of actual posting and walk through a process and how I do it, and I'll give you some suggestions, but you've got to decide. It's okay to turn the security down in your profile to where nobody knows you exist except for the people you choose. That's okay. And that's a legitimate strategy that you can do. And then you're going to have to put a little extra energy, effort, etc. into the page itself to drive it outside of your connectivity. Yes. Yeah, page and profile. Yes. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Sure. That's correct. But what you can do is come back in the comments and then tag her in the comments. Yeah, it just won't allow you to tag them in the initial post. It should resource your businesses on your profile, yeah. We're Blade, and we're going to not hit the end of it. Yep. Schedule a post. Let's do that right quick. Yeehaw. I love that tool. So let's say you're a person who's a planner. You can sit down on Sunday, and you can schedule your whole week of posts ahead of time. Or let's say that during the really 10 a.m. when it's best 9:30ish to try to get that post out, you're always busy every day. You're doing whatever it is that makes your company money. So you may want to go early in the morning then and create those posts. So you're going to write something, and so you're writing something, and you're come right here to schedule or backdate. You notice that as well. So you want to create some content about something that happened in the past. You can do that as well. So it gives you the ability. It's pretty simple. You put the year in first. So I'm going to say this is a backdated something. I put 2010, November. I'm going to pick my date. And you have the ability to hide it from your news feed. So you're just putting something into your timeline that is about your company in 2010. Now, if I want to go next year, I can even go next year at this point. But let's go back to real time, and it is September 7th. So I'm going to say let's post tomorrow, and then I can actually add the hour of the day that I would like it to go out. So Saturday, a great time on Saturday morning is between 8 and 9 o'clock. People, they have their breakfast, they do their Saturday thing. I'm going to go check Facebook. So I'm scheduling that. I'm going to make my comment, add my pictures, whatever I'm going to do, and it's going to automatically go post at that time tomorrow. Does that make sense, guys? Okay? All right, so that's scheduling. Let's see. That gets us to pinning a post. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I'm going to refresh this and pinning a post. If you'll notice my top post here, once the page finally loads, come on Facebook, catch up to us. If you'll notice right here, so I shared the event. Dale created the event over on the BizSmart page. I shared it over to my social network assist page, and I pinned it to the top of my page. So what this does is it locks it into that top slot so that when somebody comes to the page, it's the first post they see. You can pin something for 7 days, and then it'll drop off, and you can come back and pin it again. I typically am keeping fresh content because we have a class every Friday, or something that I really want people to see. If there's breaking news and something big is changing on social media platform, I'll pin those to the top because I want people to see that first thing. When they land on my page, it also goes back to my strategy. Who am I trying to reach? What do I want them to see? This is important content that I really want people to see. Okay? And then you can unpin it. So this is already happening, so I'm going to unpin it. And now it just goes back into sequence. And the first thing is the first thing, which is that. Make sense? Pinning. Okay. How to upload and edit your cover photo. We covered that a little bit. Again, the size, 851 pixels wide, 315 pixels tall. If you're going to edit it, say in a desktop editing software, and literally size it to the exact size. And why you would want to do that is if you wanted to be creative, you wanted to have the logo blending into the cover image. You may have seen some of that creativity. You want that locked when you bring it over. You don't want anything cropped out of the image. If you load an image just standard size, then you're gonna crop something out of the height of that image when you load it to Facebook. And so you may want to custom edit the image unless it's one that lends itself. This image I actually just uploaded, and then I drug it up and down until it was where I liked it. Questions on that? You want to see me adjust it? Let me see if I remembered reposition. And I actually did oh no, I didn't resize it. See there? I could go cut everybody's head off, or whatever you want to do with that image. 851 pixels wide and 315 pixels tall. Your logo image, the size is 180 pixels by 180. Square. If you load an image that's not square, it's going to force you to crop it square. So again, I choose to go ahead and manipulate the image myself beforehand. Okay. Now we're getting into the good stuff. EdgeRank. So EdgeRank is Facebook's algorithm that decides what everybody gets to see. So for better description, it's a popularity game. So you want people to comment, like, and share your posts because that is what is most valued on Facebook. So a like is kind of like a high five, and a comment is maybe a hug, and a share, well, that's the holy grail of what you get on Facebook. If you can get somebody to share your posts, you're guaranteed that you're going to double the impressions, the amount of people seeing it, that you would have if you get a share. That doesn't include what they're going to see on the other person's page. That's just on your people who have liked your page and how long they're going to be seeing your content. A typical post, you put it up, it's gone in an hour or so if nobody gives it any help. So it posts, it's there, nobody likes it, nobody comments on it, nobody shared it, it's gone. Nobody's going to see it on their news feed or their timeline for a while. However, for every like, for every comment, for every share, you're increasing the time and the amount of people that are going to see that content. That's why Facebook is, because it's a relationship dynamic network, it's important that you share relational content that people will get involved with. Like it, share it, comment on it. Now, obviously, you could be a really abusive, mean person, and for a while people would say bad things back to you, and they would engage you for a while. But eventually, they're going to unlike you, unfriend you, block you, and report you to Facebook. So that's not, that's not inappropriate. So, what are the positive things that represent your business well that people want to see? You need to mix that 3 or 5 to 1 for every piece of content you're putting out that is your expertise. So expertise, 3 or 5 other types of content about what you do. So I think of your business, Maureen, in that you could share events, stuff that's going on, specials, etc., which would be in the pocket of expertise. But what are people thinking about when they're booking a hotel? Even if I'm on business, I'm thinking about a nice view. I'm thinking about a nice chair under a shaded area by the pool. I'm thinking about those things. Now, this is me personally. I can't speak for everyone. Restaurants I want to go to when I'm in town. So you could brand great things to do in Tucson around your content, and you could do that 10 to 1 easily because there's just so much content that would say, again, brand on your company that, wow, that Tucson is a cool place. I'm going to go, but I'm also connecting all of those great places with the name that was on the post, and guess where I'm going to stay if you're the one that's presenting that content. So, right audience, right type of content that is in the frame of mind of what that person thinks of when they think of travel and staying at your location. All right, makes sense? So it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be an expert, and you can try at some of this content. You'll swing and miss more times than you'll hit a home run. However, the more you stay at it, the more opportunities you're going to get to engage people and get your brand out in front of people. So let's look at insights. Insights is a great way to kind of give you a measurement of your engagement. So if you'll look, I only have a mere 584 likes. So that's not spectacular. That's pretty light, to be honest. But I have gone back and I've even cleaned that out. I had more, but I dumped off people who were from out of the country. I have a targeted audience, and nothing against those folks. They're just not in it. So I cleaned it up because I want to know my engagement amongst the people who I want to engage. So I have 584 likes. I have a potential of 198,015 impressions. So when I put a piece of content out, the people that have liked my page, the full representation of potential impressions is that 198,000. That's friends of people who have liked the page. So if I do well, I have a pretty big pool to swim in as far as people to see my content. 125 people talking about this, and this is a weekly running graph, and my weekly total reach is down by 5%. weekly total reach is how many people did I engage this week. Not in a comment, they saw my stuff. So what was my reach this week? So that's 3,674. They, at some point, they saw a piece of my content on their wall. Now, it may have been at a glance, but it was on their computer screen at some point. They saw one of my posts. Hopefully it was good enough to get them to get involved. But let's go down here. This one is the real measurement. So the magic number that you really want to be going for is this virality number. You really want people that's engaged in your content, sharing your content, talking about your content. The higher that number, the more you've increased your edge rank and impressions outside of your normal sphere. So let's see here. Right. Well, and again, that was just, yeah, that was Michael Clark's passing, and he really was one of my favorite guys. I don't usually utilize that type of content for it wasn't for edge rank purpose at all. It was, I knew where the biggest audience was, and I was like, bummer, this really stunk. So that would have clearly not been. However, I have some of those numbers elsewhere, just with images that I use from around the area, Tucson, Marana area. I put that kind of content out, and there's lots. That was it. Yep. Keep it simple. Keep it, and I have some other strategies that I'll show you. In fact, we'll go to that one. Let's view that post. I created it on my Facebook page, and there's a few images there, sunrise, and so we had some engagement. I had 2 shares. You notice over on the right, the little 2 pages. So not explosive, however, it did go out to some bigger pages that did get some bigger shares. So I got quite a bit of virality on this one because of where else it went. So let's jump back here. So I'm always trying, so you can see for me, I mix in images that I take. I have my phone, my iPod, my camera with me about 100% of the time. I like to capture images and share them out. I use that on my business page. So when I share a great image, I will put it on my business page, and then I will share it to my profile, because I greatly increase the engagement on that post on my profile. Now, I haven't put anything on my profile that is business related there. It does say my business name, but I've definitely exposed a lot more potential shares when I share it to my profile. So what I do is I don't share my business related posts. Something new on Facebook, something new on Twitter, something new in strategy on online marketing. That stays on my business wall, but what I call edge rank content, stuff I'm specifically posting to manipulate edge rank and boost edge rank, I do share that content over to my profile because it does fit the audience. People will engage with humor, visually stimulating content. When I do questions with an image, what was the first car you drove? When did you get your first kiss? That kind of content. Again, that's just content that people like to get involved with and comment on. But I originated it on my Facebook business page for the purpose of boosting my edge rank, and then I shared it to my profile. That's okay. Tagging I use, but I use minimally. Again, if it doesn't fit somebody specifically who comes to mind, as if we were having a conversation, I don't tag them. And now, tagging is a strategy that you can utilize, but again, use it sparingly because you're asking them to join the conversation. If you ask too many times, somebody may not enjoy that.
is there this is all analyzing EdgeRank, right? Right here.
This is a good analysis of EdgeRank. It's telling you who, not specifically who, you can go look how many people you reached, and if you have questions about the number, you can actually go to this question mark right here beside each of these that will tell you specifically what that number represents. Engaged users, that's people that commented, liked, or shared, and talking about this. Okay, that's where you go see how well you're doing, or not. The important thing is, goes to the next question, and that's posting frequency. Ideally, I think I wouldn't go many beyond 3 times a day, and that should be spread out. So use the scheduling tool, post, and then as Dale laid out in the strategy blueprint, post strategy blueprint, lay that into a calendar so that you're being strategic and you are getting one thing that's your expertise for the 3 or 5 other pieces, and lay that out to where you're not, putting all your best stuff out one day. You need to spread that content across the week so that you're spreading your engagement out. So again, my purpose in putting that content out that others would say, well, that doesn't relate to your business. Yeah, it does, because it doubles up and quadruples the amount of people that will see when I post something about one of my classes. It's about impressions, and I'm trying to get more people to see my business stuff, and how I do that is creating EdgeRank positive material. Frequency also goes directly to people finding you and following you. The more frequent you are, and I would say a better word, consistent you are with putting out content, you will continue to get likes. I get likes every week, whether I'm on vacation for 2 weeks or not, because I have content going out all the time. And I use a variety of tools to put content out. Conversational principles, again, I think we've hit on that well. Although etiquette, let's briefly talk about that. That goes to regular profile as well as page. Avoid taking a comment string off a topic of your own purpose. That would be so let's say Joe's posted something that's really entertaining and engaging, and he's got a lot of people commenting and posting on it, and you come on and share a link to your event that's happening this weekend. Highly inappropriate. Okay? Or, hey, come over to my page and like my stuff. No. This is Joe's post. You create your own that's that good. Don't steer the topic somewhere else when it's a topic string that's already been created. Does that make sense? Because we typically wouldn't do that unless we're trying to veer the topic away from something that's... Then just don't engage in that conversation if it's not appropriate content. And you guys have to judge for yourself what's appropriate and what's not. But specifically, helping you frame this has really been top of mind recently. You've seen everybody, how do I hide all of these political posts, comment things? You see that a lot if you've been on Facebook a lot. I'm tired of seeing this stuff. It goes directly to the heart of what Facebook is. Facebook is not necessarily a place where people like to have that kind of dialogue. There may be other better places to have that kind of dialogue. So if I don't get on at all that I don't see somebody. Is there a way? And somebody wrote an article today that came out from one of the big companies, social media companies, on how to block political content. So it's not a either way. It's a avoid necessarily, especially when you're going to marry that to your business. You better have a very narrow audience if you're going to utilize political content on your social media. Some people do. I had a client who they had one side or the other, and they had picked that side, and they were doing really well at it. Great, good for them. It's It's not normal. It's very not normal. So I'm not chastising you. It's just a warning, and be cautious. And let it help you understand the community that is Facebook and what they do and don't like to engage with. Let's see, lead capturing on a landing page. I think that may be too extensive. Right, as far as a landing page off-site, or more specifically an on-site landing page?
Where it draws you and says you go off-site to put it on.
Okay. So a couple of ways to go about that. You can, and they're not as effective as they used to be since you can't force people to land on them. You can create tabs. So for instance, this Contact Us tab is on Facebook, and it's a tab on my page that will take you over, and I'm trying to get your information. But you can utilize a variety of different avenues within posts. You can do contests and promotions and other things to do lead capture. I'm trying to get you to give me a phone number or an email so that I can build my email list. And you can do that within Facebook, or you can drive traffic to a landing page that is within your website where you're capturing that information. You have a form capture or something on the site. So again, being strategic in that if you need to build your email list, and an email list is a very important piece of most everyone's strategy, if you can use it effectively, it will drive a lot of traffic, and it does close more sales than most of the social media platforms if it's used in conjunction with social media platforms. It's a very good sales tool. Capturing lead information, email. Most of the time it's email. You don't get very many phone call type companies anymore. They're a little more reticent to use phone. But email, company information, an opt-in for a paper, a document, some information, something free that is of value that people would be willing to trade their information for. Yeah, that's a whole session. Yep.
I know there's a number of members here that are ready to use that.
So events. We talked about several events. Let's talk about using events. I think the best strategy is to have an event feature that is outside of Facebook. So that would be, you could use Constant Contact, you could use Eventbrite, you could use a variety of outside events. Create the event where you can, if it's a paid event, they can pay for it and attend. And I would suggest to do that outside of Facebook, but do go ahead and create a Facebook event with a link to the registration that is the offsite. So use that. It's kind of like your website is the central hub to all of your social media. Your events should be the same way. If you have the ability, like we do, of putting it on the website, that's even better. They're going to come to your website, see impressions of you to sign up for the event, even though you're maybe using, Constant Contact, Eventbrite, or some other type of event service. But go ahead and create the other events, but have them pointing towards where you're having people opt in. Okay, let's see. I need to do a whole session on mobile because there's so many pieces there. But again, I want to really go back to goals. This is if you don't have a plan, you will not succeed. Unless you just have one of those products that people just go crazy for. Sometimes a product blows up and you just get blind lucky. I don't think any of us are in that category at this point. I think we all have great businesses, that there are more than enough people who want to connect with you. You just have to have a strategy for Facebook that's going to help you connect with the people that are on Facebook that want your product. So within that, identify Lean Canvas, I think, is the absolute Go back to it again and again and again. Continue to refine. I met a gentleman 2 weeks ago, and I said, well, help me frame up your business in that, who's your target audience? Man, he literally described a person to me that I knew everything about. And it was so easy for me to help him to develop a strategy at that point. I mean, we were almost home already because I knew who that person was. I knew where they hung out. I knew what social platforms they were on. I knew how they used them and how to help him then understand how to connect. So defining that client, and so I think we've even talked about defining, give them a name, and fill out all of the things that they think and feel and want and don't like and do like and what their pain points are. The better you do that, then you bring it back into your social media, and then you can strategize how to connect with them.
One thing I missed is business page branding.
Yes. Yep. I covered it.
And let's do that and then have questions.
Yep.
And then on the last one here, contacts, I will refresh everybody on that. Remember we talked about that before, how to do contacts?
Okay.
Okay, that'll be short. You have to use an outside party, a third party to do it. So that's pretty much the answer to the question right there.
Yep. And most of them are apps, and be sure to use them. Yeah, that way you're inside the rules. You don't want to be outside the rules when it comes to contests. So again, branding. If you notice, obviously I don't have any substantial branding in my heading, but I'm okay with that. I've got my logo right down here who says who I am. My social platforms, I carry the same color palette across. If you land on my content, I don't look different on every one of them. My colors are similar. My logo is always there. And you will get a similar feel on all of my social channels. So within that, then, you can create custom images here, and you can customize all of these to make them match your company color, brand, logo, look, and feel, so that when people land here, it doesn't feel like a foreign entity from what your website looks like. I like to take the website and then begin to match platforms out from there. It's important on Facebook that you use all of the visual cueing that you can to identify your company. But again, not making it so sterile in especially the cover image that it doesn't look like it's for instance, a heartwarming place to be. I mean, you would want to have that look and feel in your cover image if at all possible. Any questions on that? I think we're ready for questions now. You can block any post. Yeah. But sometimes they do. Within a post, you can go right here. See the little drop-down arrow? You can click that, and you can hide right here. Yeah, and it gives you the ability. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of bacon. I should have known it was somebody with AJ Hughes on there. Oh my goodness. Okay, so whatever it may be, say you're allergic to what it looks like caramel or chocolate, I don't know. You have the ability to, you can follow the post as well. So what that would allow you to do is follow the conversation, so you would get notifications, but you're not down in the list of notifications. Sometimes I'm just inquisitive, and I want to hear what the conversation that's going on there, but I want to be incognito. I don't want to be seen in the conversation. Other questions? I am, because we're going to need to get a couple of 2 or 3 devices, and I'm going to have to do some screen capture so that I can show you on an iPhone. And one of the cool things, if you're not utilizing it, if you're on an iPad or iPhone, is the Facebook Pages Manager app. That gives you a little more control than the typical Facebook page. It's built specifically for Facebook pages, so when you log in, whatever you admin will be there. It allows you to control a few more things. Still not as powerful as the desktop when it comes to controlling posting and how you post, etc. I rarely post from my mobile device because it doesn't come out like I want it in many cases. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is at this point.
If it's okay, I wanted to stand on, you were talking about expertise, having what, 6-to-1 of fun stuff and treating things to expertise. I want to call that self, because expertise sometimes you're sharing interesting information.
So I have those in two different boxes. So I have expertise in one box, and I call the other one valuable links and information.
Okay.
So I have those as two different.
To sell, come by.
Yeah, and that's
The one that
right. And it is, you still need to have that. Come to my event, sign up for my class, sign up for my thing. You need to have those, but for every one of those, I would say you need to balance your content into those other spheres, or nobody's going to look at the one you put out. They've already ignored you. I have a page that I'm working with right now. They have 1,000 people on the page, and they have totally killed their impressions in EdgeRank by my stuff. And it's not just it's even buy an expertise. That's all they posted, buy an expertise. And because of it, they literally dwindled down to where they were in single digits on a post for impressions, which is terrible. They have 1,000 people on the page, but it's not showing up on their wall because they've not developed any rapport. They don't have any affinity with the people who've liked their page.
I guess what I'm saying is if you go to the Christmas page, everything's related to our total workforce to you in posts, right? Yeah, and same here for all my discounts. Everything's related to social media, but it's not buying it, it's not really reading. It's here's
Yeah.
information, what did you know this?
Mhm.
And same with Chris. So by calling it expertise, we're kind of breaking that rule. It really is the expertise.
Okay.
So you would call it information.
I call it your valuable information.
People were okay.
Educational.
I've never seen you or me, or most of us, post things that are irrelevant or not made as consciousness.
Right.
But we should, you're saying we should.
You should occasionally.
The audience loves inspirational, pretty pictures.
Yes, they do. So if you mix that in on a more regular basis, you're going to build the impressions that you'll get off of, hey, I'm having a class next Saturday. So you have affinity. You're building rapport, affinity, and so that when you post something else, you're going to increase the amount of people who see that post.
You know what I did? The animal pictures
Mhm.
related to something in the scope of my expertise or
Uh-huh.
work. But then some kind of a comment or a question
Yep.
through the picture
Uh-huh.
went crazy.
Yeah.
Eight
Yeah.
animals.
Yes.
64,
Yep.
64 comments.
Great.
And I kept it going all day. It was a
Yep.
day when I could be there.
That is great content then. I mean, babies, animals, you're right.
So that
Yes.
would count as one of the 5 or 6 or 10.
Uh-huh. Yes. Yes.
What about posting things that are more personal about yourself on your business page? Should you get yourself, like maybe
You-
involved with some sort of event?
Well, especially if it's nonprofit, you do want to share that side of yourself. If it's okay with you, because people do want to feel like they know a brand. I want to know you a little bit better, not too much, but a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Don't TMI, but yes.
When do the copyright things come into play? When you're like sharing, even if you share like nonprofit, what changes
As far as I'm not. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure about the nonprofit as far as privacy. What you're?
copyright when you share maybe?
Yeah, you'll get a warning. So if I've shared it I've made it public, I have, I have basically given permission for it to go anywhere. But if you'll notice now, if I were to post a personal piece of content that only went to this group on my profile, then you wouldn't be able to share that on a business page at all anymore. It won't allow you. It's blocked that off because it's limited audience. Because you've limited the audience, now it can't go to a public somewhere else. Does that make sense?
When you sign up for your Facebook account, you sign an agreement that you are not going to share something. You are not going to originate something on Facebook. It's not going to share it. So if they don't do it,
No. It's
somebody reports
right.
you, then you could get in trouble. But it would take somebody who had reported you.
Yeah. It's
Really based on the facts.
too large to police as far as Facebook.
Well, I wanted to ask one thing, but with etiquette, a really good thing to do, and I know nobody in here would do this, but you go post your event on somebody's page. And I've had 2 people do that last week, and I just thought, how dare they? But what I did is I just hid those nights.
So I think it would be relevant. I think again, if I have a relationship with that company and they know we have a relationship, and I would encourage them to do it back the other way. Yeah. It's definitely a gray area, and you want to be cautious. Just don't do it at random.
Well, I mean, the one that's most obvious, we are particularly having other organizations ask us to post on our Facebook page. So that's not good etiquette.
No. That's okay because they asked. I'm sorry. Go ahead. No. So you have the ability to post on anybody's wall who allows posting, and I'm I'm with Dale in that you got to be very cautious that the content you're sharing is going to be very beneficial to that audience. And I know we all think our content is the best thing in the world. However, you have to be very cautious. I think, so my rule is, if I don't have a relationship with that organization, I don't post on their wall. Or, in your case, if they're asking permission, I'll let anybody post on my wall within reason, as long as it's reasonable content. I won't even hide it when they post an event on my wall, but I'm expecting some reciprocity and some relationship in the process. Cool. If you guys have any other specific questions that we didn't get to today, this is vast. I mean, we really could go a month on this and bore you to death. But all the stuff you want to know, be sure to ask and message online.
A lot of these topics that Mike covered are already on our website, and they're in 2 and 3, maybe the maximum length is 4 minutes.